Hello, friends. Thanks for joining us. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Leave a like, leave a comment, leave a quick review, leave an essay, leave a journal entry. It's all good. We'd love to hear from you. Benny, where can they find us on social media?
Yeah, you can find us, Ray Benny Sports. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, your favorite TikTok, and we joined Reddit. So join us there and have a conversation with us.
Reddit.
We
got Blue Bomber and free agency talk. I always mess up that word, free agency. It's hard. That's what she said. We'll look at the Jets in their upcoming week. We got shout outs, but let's start off with the Super Bowl, the Eagles and the Chiefs. Probably the best Super Bowl I've seen.
From start to finish, really. Yeah. Right?
Absolutely.
I think we talked about it last week, how Super Bowls are branded as the greatest, but it's only the fourth quarter. But this one yesterday, from the beginning to end, it was just nonstop action.
And of course, mired with a little bit of officiating controversy at the end with the holding penalty. Was that a holding penalty?
It was, yeah. It
should have been called.
Was. It had to be almost in that situation for me. He impeded him. That's exactly where they were going. Maybe Juju doesn't make it.
Yeah,
there.
It's not easy to talk. I told you.
Oh my God. That's terrible. Shoo.
Yeah.
Maybe he doesn't make it there anyways without the hold, but he had a pretty good chance of making it to that spot, and that's where they were going. To me, it's a hold. Bradbury says it's a hold. It's an unfortunate way for that game to go. I get it. It sucks to see that, especially a good game like that. You want to see it keep going, or you want to see it end on a high note, right? But
it's a call. You have to make it. The safety wasn't there. They saw that Juju, and there was a hold, and there's a hand on the hip also.
Yeah.
So either way, there's a bit of impediment to where they were going, and that was wide open.
Oh yeah.
And he was like if he was full speed going to that off the break, he probably would have been in that spot. Would he have caught it? I don't know, but he was impeded. So absolutely the right call. I have no people complaining about refs again and giving them the game. Give it up already. It was a call.
And it sucks to have the game, being remembered for that, because it was such a good game. It was an offensive game. Like Jalen Hurts was amazing. Mahomes was amazing. Like there was a lot of good things in that game. And for everyone to just complain about this one call, I mean, hey, I get it. You're an Eagles fan. You're probably going to complain about it. Neutrals, we could probably see it either way. Kansas City fans are probably like, yeah, definitely a penalty no matter what, right?
Yeah.
But Eagles got some great calls the week before. It just happens. It ends up, it evens out sometimes like that. And
to imply that the refs need to look at the situation, la-di-da. Almost everyone who complains about the penalty says it's either ticky-tack or shouldn't have been called at the time, which means that they saw it happen. It was there, but at the time they shouldn't have called it, or it wasn't enough to call it. No. It happened. The ref saw it, so he called it.
Well, it's not just fans, right? You got a lot of media people saying as well. The
guys on there.
They clearly see it's a penalty, but they're like, they should have let it go.
I can do without hearing Greg Olsen again. Like he's slightly
not
better.
Very good yesterday.
No, he was slightly better than Tony Romo.
Yes,
and I'd still kind of rather listen to Chris Collinsworth more than him. And I'm not a fan of Chris Collinsworth.
Yeah, I was missing even Troy Aikman and Joe Buck last night. Like the funny thing for me with Olsen is he went on and on about the Eagles saving their timeouts in that second half and taking delay game penalty, getting the first down, and then of that same drive or whatever, they took a timeout, to avoid a delay game. I'm like, dude. He was so angry about that call too.
Greg Olsen.
That the penalty at the end of the game. He was angry. Even though Mike Pereira came on and he said, "No, that's a penalty."
Absolutely, like, an expert said it. Oh, shut up, receiver. Super Bowl moment that made your heart skip a beat.
I don't know. There was a few. There was
Super Bowl moment.
Sorry, I had a
moments.
few.
Moment that made your heart skip a beat.
You know what? Andy Reid's play calling in that second half to me. I'm going to say two of them because there was two of those. Last two touchdowns by Kansas City, those were the moments for me when I knew or figured Kansas City was taking that game. Andy Reid was brilliant in that second half for me.
Yeah, that was crazy. Did you see Dan Orlovsky's breakdown of how he set up those? Amazing. Like,
yeah,
guy
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, Google that.
Yeah, because two guys like wide open on those plays, right? Like the Eagles bit hard on both of those plays.
Yep. The moment that skipped the beat for me is with 1:36 left in the first half. Patrick Mahomes stuck in the pocket, rolls out in the open field, gets tackled low. running. A linebacker rolls with him. He's on the ground, writhing in pain. I'm like, if this dude is out, Chad Henne is not going to be able to keep up with Jalen Hurts. There is no way this game is going to, it's over. I thought if he's not coming back, it's over. So right there, I was like, pause. This is huge. But thank goodness he came back and the game was good.
Well, especially considering the Chiefs offense, it wasn't on the field a lot. So it wasn't really doing great at that moment either, right? So you're thinking if they were struggling with Mahomes, they're not going to move much with Henne. And that Eagles D, I think, would have been obviously a lot better with Henne in there. Like that Eagles D was not the same Eagles D we've seen all fall kind of thing, like all season. So
they needed that halftime break for him to loosen up or do some kind of therapy on that ankle and to get him back, because they started rolling when they came back in the second half. But I was scared. Not that I had any emotional investment in the Chiefs winning, but in regards to it being a good game, I didn't want to see either of those quarterbacks go out.
You didn't want to see a fourth stringer come in or a guy with no ligament in his elbow trying to win the Super Bowl?
No, I'm fine. I like the Hurts Mahomes matchup.
You know what the basic things we talked about a lot is the D-line, O-line, and how good those have to be for you to win. And yesterday it was both O-lines. Like there was only one sack in that game, and I think it was because Hurts ran out of bounds or whatever it was. But those O-lines for both those teams, they invested heavily in those, and they were both stout. Like those D-lines, which are pretty good on both sides, could not get too much of a sniff on those quarterbacks. So the Chiefs good to see.
O-line was very good. I found them far superior. Jalen Hurts was on the run a lot. He was on the run, but he completed passes and he got out of there. He had an amazing game. But I thought the Chiefs O-line, especially considering that the vaunted front four of Philadelphia getting 72 sacks or whatever it was, like amazing job.
Yeah, and they invested heavily in that O-line after that Super Bowl against Tampa when Mahomes was getting sacked like crazy, right?
Yeah.
So they went crazy, and that's kind of helped when you could say they got a few bargain bin wide receivers this year, right? They got guys on 1-year deals. They weren't paying that much where they could now invest more into that O-line, and it worked out. They got rid of Tyreek Hill and it worked out.
Absolutely. Yeah, they have Orlando Brown Jr. He's going to be a free agent. They need to sign that guy.
He's going to want some good coin for sure.
Should Jalen Hurts have been the Super Bowl MVP?
If they won, I always like it. I always like seeing that MVP go to the winning team kind of thing. I don't necessarily think Mahomes should have got it. I mean, he was really good in that second half, but that guy on D there, what was it, Bolton? Yeah, he looked pretty good to me. So it's always hard to give it to a loser.
Why? He should have. He was clearly the most valuable player of the game. The game would not have been close without him. Like Mahomes did not have a good game, other than percentage-wise passing. He didn't have a good game. Under 200 yards, 3 touchdowns, yes. 2 of them were what we mentioned before, a 4-yarder and a 5-yarder, because of the brilliance of Andy Reid.
Yeah.
So he didn't have a great game. So if we're going by participation in a game and who is most valuable in this game out of anyone in the field, it's Jalen Hurts.
But he didn't win.
It doesn't matter. He was the most valuable player. Like, I think that's ridiculous. I think the whole thing about being weighted about winning is more relevant in hockey and in basketball, where they have a series. And in hockey, at least they've given it to a loser, Ron Hextall.
Hextall got it, but he was the only reason why the Flyers survived that series to Game 7, I guess. So
Jalen Hurts was the only reason why Philadelphia was in that game at all. He just kept scoring and scoring. It was crazy.
He didn't score enough in that second half.
20 points on him alone. Super Bowl record tied it. That's a record. He had a Super Bowl record performance.
He did. Well, did he break it? I mean,
he tied it.
Are you talking about the 20 fantasy thing or no?
No, 20 points. He got 3 touchdowns.
Oh, because of the touchdowns. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He ran 3 in.
Right. Yeah.
That's crazy.
But he got pushed in 3 times, right?
Well, it doesn't matter. He should win it. He had a better game by far than Mahomes.
He did than Mahomes. I think there should have been another guy on Kansas City that could have definitely won that award. If you're going with just a winning team kind of player or whatever, there should have been someone else. I don't think Mahomes, he did well, especially in that second half, but that first half was pretty.
Well, then it had to be Kelsey. Of anyone, it had to be Kelsey on that team.
Yeah, but I think the Eagles were just focused so much on Kelsey. It got guys like Juju open and all that stuff to do damage, right? Even close to the end zone, like those 2 plays probably helped a lot because everyone was worried about Kelsey close to the end zone. So
crazy.
What do you think about that Sanders catch and fumble? Should it have been a fumble? I know in the rules of the NFL it probably isn't, but
no,
I don't know, man. He seemed like he had enough time. He kind of made a hop to the right. I don't like the catch rule in the NFL at all.
It's whatever. It's up to that's the thing. It's up to interpretation. And even in instant replay, it's still up to interpretation of the individual human. So
it is, yeah.
I think if you're going to go to the letter, which you have to now, kind of, it's not a catch. He didn't do the full third beat, turn, look up in the sky, say hello, and then bring it down. He didn't.
Is that all he has to do?
Yeah, that's it. Only on Sundays, though. Thursdays is different. Super Bowl halftime show. What are your thoughts on that? Quick and dirty. Happy? Nah, what up?
To me, it's whatever. I mean, it's not my type of music. It was kind of cool with all the stuff going on and the different platforms and stuff. I mean, not necessarily the people in white, but the platforms going up and down, Rihanna being high. It's not my type of music, but I get why they do it. You know, they want to attract more of a crowd and more people interested in the game.
The production and the stage show itself was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And of course, like, I don't know about your house, but in my house for like 5 minutes, we're like, yo, is she pregnant? What is happening here?
Is she not?
Why's she touching her belly like that? You know? So then half of that time was any which way. It was a show.
So is she not pregnant?
Oh, she preggers.
Okay.
That's what her publicist said. And that's how she announced it.
I thought she just had a baby.
Oh gosh. Next year someone's gonna do a gender reveal.
Oh.
Have I told you how annoying those things are? Oh my
gender reveals? I've never actually, I mean, I've watched videos of them. I've never actually been to one, but
I wouldn't go.
Yeah.
If I knew it was, no, come to our gender reveal. I'm like, yeah, I'm busy.
Have you actually been to one?
No.
Oh, okay.
If I knew, I wouldn't go. Anyway,
oh God.
This show's not about Ray and Benny talk gender reveals. Who would you like to see in a halftime show?
Who would I like? I don't think anyone would want to see who I want to see. I mean, I would want a rock show, right, kind of thing. But I know the NFL doesn't necessarily go that way. I love last year's with Dre, Eminem, Snoop, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So if they can even go that way again, but these new pop artists like Taylor Swift, Rihanna, or whatever, that's not for me.
Give me a break. I picked the rock show. I picked Flaming Lips because I think their live show is crazy. It'd be insane in a stadium. Oh, any which way.
Can we bring in Nickelback?
Say that again.
Just kidding.
No,
I'll go.
Say it again. Can
Nickelback, we bring back? Man, you don't like Nickelback?
Oh my gosh. Friends and neighbors, would you pick Nickelback for your halftime show, or who would you like to see at the next halftime show? What's more likely to happen? The Chiefs repeating as Super Bowl champions, or the Eagles winning the Super Bowl next year?
I'm going to say just the Chiefs probably repeating. You saw the way they almost tore it down, went in different directions with a bunch of new wide receivers, and they still got it done.
Yep.
For me, the Eagles, I think they got a lot of guys to sign. We'll see what they end up doing there. But sometimes losing that Super Bowl is almost a step back the next season where you kind of try to regroup and you get over that hangover a bit, right? So
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see. They still got talent. So
Kansas City definitely has more of their nucleus coming back. Like you said, they spent a lot of money on that O-line, and they got to sign Orlando Brown Jr. I think they got a guard also that needs to be signed or else replaced by a draft pick. It's like one of those situations where he can be replaced. You just got to make that decision, and someone might be retiring.
Plus Andy Reid, to me, man, he's still, I don't know, he's amazing. He's way better than Sirianni. I can see Andy Reid just
absolutely.
As long as Mahomes is healthy, they'll rule that division for a long time.
We'll see. He's definitely better than Sirianni. Sirianni lost by 3 and he only had 8 seconds left. Who knows what he would have done with that ball? Oh my god. Jalen Hurts, MVP of the game.
That last throw was terrible though.
No, come on. The Eagles have 8 starters on their defense that are possible free agents or might be retiring or leaving. So I think that might be more of an issue than what the Chiefs have to deal with. And like you said, sometimes there's usually a step back for these teams. The Chiefs have been there. They're proven. They know how to get there. They've lost. They've come back. So, yeah, I'm going to take the Chiefs as well. Maybe it's an eye-opener also on the defensive side that the Eagles need to improve. Everyone was critical about them in their schedule, and they did stay pretty healthy during the year. Them and KC both stayed very healthy. So,
yeah. And they obviously very, it helped, especially playing that NFC Championship against a 4-stringer and then a non-throwing quarterback. Yeah. It added more fuel because, there's a lot of Niners playing saying, oh, We could have beat them if we had a full lineup, if we had Purdy, right? And Eagles players, fans were like, whatever, we beat you guys, get lost kind of thing. And then this happens, and then now it's almost like a C. We could have had a better opportunity. Your defense wasn't as good as you thought. I mean, Debo called James Bradbury trash during the week, kind of thing. So
yeah, but he's at home, so I don't think
he was.
Worried about that.
At the end of the day, Bradbury and the Eagles ended up losing too. So,
but they beat them the week before.
It'll be interesting. The schedule and the NFC altogether to me was so wide open this year.
Yeah,
like even the Niners schedule wasn't hard. It wasn't the greatest. So there's a lot of easy games in there. It'll be interesting to see if some of these teams take a step up next year in the NFC and make it a little bit harder.
Yeah, Eagles, Niners, I think again. I can't see Dallas getting any better. Are they changing their coach? No?
No,
well, they're not going to get any better.
They changed OCs, though. They fired Kellen Moore. So I can't remember if they've hired someone yet or not. But Dallas benefited, too, from that easy schedule that the Eagles kind of had,
The NFC East.
Yeah, the NFC East altogether. I mean, look at how good Giants. They are. Went from how bad they were last year to how good they were this year. I think the schedule definitely helped them. So
NFC North was shaky.
Yeah.
We'll see next year.
The AFC South was terrible, right? So
let's talk football north of the border. CFL free agency tampering window. Nothing's confirmed. All rumor. Things can happen. People still can negotiate. A lot of those players have said goodbye in emails or tweets or whatever. So based on all that, winners, losers, best pickup in the CFL tampering window to you?
Again, it's hard because you don't know for sure. I do right now. I'm going to say with the winner, I've kind of liked what Hamilton has ended up doing with the guys they ended up signing, mainly on D, more so than Bo Levi.
Yeah, of course.
But they got Casey Sales, Jameer Thurman from Calgary. Apparently, they're getting Jagger Davis back.
Yeah.
What's his name? Boateng from Edmonton.
Yeah.
Ted Laurent re-signed. And then they ended up getting Tim White back as a receiver. So they're kind of light on that receiver side of things, but I really like what they did on D.
Yeah, they're pretty strong on D. Strong on D.
Because I think we were talking last week, like, what are they doing? Because they haven't signed any of their own guys, and they had tons of free agents, but they seem to have done a good job there.
I think eventually, like in the NFL, this CFL wide receiver market is gonna burst. Rhymes just signed not today. Today?
Yeah, just today after asking for a trade yesterday.
Rhymes just signed today. He's getting his money. You got Lucky Whitehead claiming that thank you, y'all owe me for busting the market open. But you got all these guys getting paid a lot of money, but you also got a lot of young guys coming in. Every year, there's an influx of young receivers getting between 700 and 1,000 yards that you can depend on. So they're the next one. So even the Bombers signing Lawlor, that's a lot of money. And the receiving core looks good. But anyways, I'm rambling. In regards to receivers, I think Edmonton made a splash. I really like what they did with their receiving core. They have 2 receivers now with Eugene Lewis, possibly, and Dunbar, possibly, who are both top 10 receiving in yards, receptions, and touchdowns. And for a guy to play underneath routes and be a possession receiver, they got Kyron Moore, possibly. I think whoever your quarterback is, Cornelius or Vinny Testaverde Jr.,
That's awesome.
That's a good receiving core to go into with. So I really like what they've done with their receiving core. Who do you have for losers or misses or mehs?
Well, right now I'm going to go with to me, the losers are basically Montreal or Saskatchewan here. I'm going to kind of go Montreal because they've lost a lot.
Yeah.
I know it sounds like they're getting Cody Fajardo, and they signed Justin Lawrence, all-star center there from the Argos. So, and they got Avery Williams after he was released by Ottawa. So a couple decent moves in the last couple of days, but to me, they're still on shaky ground. Not enough at the wide receiver position now, losing Weinke and Eugene Lewis, right? So to me, I'm going to give them the edge over Saskatchewan in the loser department.
The loser, and they're not really losers, and maybe this is just a little bitterness from Grey Cup still seeping through my pores, but Toronto, who's their quarterback going to next season?
I guess it's going to be 3 last names right now.
Is he signed? Is he good to go? Is he coming back?
He said he's coming back. So if he's coming back in the CFL, it's going to be with the Argos.
Is he coming back in the CFL? Is that it for sure? This is
no.
that going into free agency, especially with the limited QB available options that there are, that should have been solidified. Like XFL starting next week? What training camp is he going to go to there? Like, what's the problem here?
What's the other one there? The USFL, is that what it is? That one, I guess.
Like, come on. Really?
But is Chad Kelly signed or is he a free agent?
Chad Kelly is signed.
Okay. So I guess they're safe, right? Toronto, they could either go, okay, we're going to go with Chad Kelly if Cloudbeth Thompson doesn't want to take a certain amount and
but
go and sign guys.
The thing is, with it not being definite right now, is you're going into free agency not knowing if you should target a veteran backup or something. Should you get Caleb Evans, whatever, who's available? You're kind of like in the air, and they kind of, I think they should have solidified that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they should have definitely solidified that and got that. It seems like they've signed a lot of their own guys back instead of hitting the market kind of thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Harris and Ouellette are both back there too, so they seem like they're set almost everywhere else. And they traded BC there for the linebacker.
Yes,
I can't remember his name there.
That's crazy. The Canadian linebacker.
So a good move there. I guess that's the end of Enoch Mwamba. I don't know. He hasn't retired or anything, but
he's still up in the air, his status.
Yeah, but I do agree on that. They need quarterbacks the biggest position in the CFL to me, man. You need to have that figured out.
They're chilling. Let's move on to the Winnipeg Jets. Going in, they have a long bye here. They got a win over St. Louis before the bye. They got a 11-day rest, All-Star break bye, and then they got a win over Chicago recently. What is your biggest concern with the Winnipeg Jets, if you have any?
To me, it's still the depth. Like right now, it's good. You got all guys are back. Appleton's back. Gustafson's probably coming back, so everything's good there, right? Yeah. But that top six, to me, if anyone gets hurt, you're in trouble, especially if it's going into the playoffs and they're out long term. They need to find someone that could even. We'll see what Appleton and Lowry can do together now that they're back. If that offense to get going, because Lowry hasn't scored since before Christmas now. So that top nine needs to be able to contribute as well. So if they can get Lowry and Appleton going, and they can add another guy to their top six or even that top nine to kind of fill in and have more offense. To me, that would be the best move. Their D is shaky in some parts. Morrissey's been fantastic, but they have enough depth there that I think they can get away with it.
Yeah.
It may not be the strongest, though.
How about backup goaltending? Is that a minor concern of yours? It's a bit of a minor concern of mine.
It's not too bad. Rittich has done well enough for me right now. Obviously, if Hellebuyck gets hurt and goes out long term, we're screwed no matter who's in net there, right?
Only because this long layoff and Hellebuyck coming really, he's at a 9.48 save percentage right now in these last two games. Like last year, he was worked hard, and we had a good backup last year. So it's just in seeing him take these days off and having being well rested, and there could be a benefit of leaning on your backup for a little bit before going into the home stretch. So that's my worry. Is Rittich the guy to do that with?
Yeah, I do agree that over the next 30 games, is that something what they have left or whatever, right? They have to give Rittich, I would hope, I don't know. Like, it depends how it's going, right? If you're winning the games that Hellebuck's in kind of thing, Rittich has got to get at least 5 to 10 so that Hellebuck's not going into these playoffs getting tired, right?
Yeah.
Because it could be a long grind. And even in that back to 2017-18 there against Vegas, he seemed like he is kind of running out of gas. Mm-hmm. So... And I know it's 5 years later, his regiment and his training's probably gotten way better since then, but still, I'd like to see Rittich get those games, but you have to be able to trust him. So far, so good with him.
That's a minor concern of mine. Like I still think he'll be a Vezina contender late into the season, whether he has to really put the miles on or if Rittich has to take a couple of games or not. My major concern, and this is, a great article in the Winnipeg Sun by Scott Billick about this power play that's really taken a step back. 1 for 20 in the last 5 games, 0 for 6 against St. Louis, 1 for 3 against Chicago. I think that is a major concern because their power play was just humming. And it's not just about scoring goals, but the momentum that they had and the ability to move the puck and really tire the other team out. So I'm a little concerned that that's taking a step back. Like minus 1.6% doesn't seem like a lot, but if you look at the past few games, it's a lot.
Yeah, and that's because it's almost top heavy. Like that top line's pretty good, and then the second one gets a little bit light, right? You got Lowry on it, which is not necessarily the greatest thing to be on a power play. So I get it. Yeah, if that first one doesn't score, that second one's probably not scoring.
Yeah.
So I do agree there. Yeah, they need to get that going because 6 power plays against St. Louis and you couldn't put one in. And even, what did you say against Chicago? 3 or 4?
1 for 3.
Yeah. So, I mean, you got to be able to catch it, especially on 6. You need to be at least hitting 1 to 2 of those, right?
Yeah.
1 for sure. 2, it's probably a pretty good chance. Did they have a 5-on-3 in that game, or was it the Chicago game? They had a 5-on-3.
I believe it was a 5-on-3 in Chicago.
Yeah, they got nothing out of that.
And they're like humming at 50% on their power play against Chicago.
They love to pass, though. So, like, they're looking always for that perfect opportunity, especially on the power play. Like, they don't shoot a lot.
They want that shot for Scheifele. Oh, yeah. Well, another thing about that article that Scott Billick mentioned, I really like this article, was that they've moved Ehlers down to the second line. So he has that left side slot that he likes to play where Scheifele plays in the first one. So who knows, that might open some stuff up. But yeah, that's a concern for me.
Yeah. You need that power play humming, especially going to that playoffs.
PK's still good. PK's still good.
Oh yeah, still my PK's still wicked.
Power play, not so much. Shout out to Scott Arneal. The Winnipeg Jets upcoming matchups. How do you see these games playing out? Seattle, Columbus, and the Devils. Let's start off with Seattle. How do you see the Jets doing there?
I think they should be able to win this game. The way Seattle's played lately, I know they're second in the Pacific, but they're 4-5-1 in our last 10. They give up a lot of goals. They can score as well, Seattle, but their PK is second last. So if you're talking about our power play getting going,
there you go.
This is the game to get it in. The goaltending hasn't been strong for Seattle, but like I said, they're 6th in goals per game. So that's definitely helped their outscoring their opponents. So
can they score without Burkowski?
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I was looking at their stats today, and they're actually, how the Jets have Connor Dubois up there and Scheifele with points. Like Seattle, to me, I think their highest guy was 40, but they had tons between 40 and 20. Whereas the Jets drop off hardcore after that top 6, and Lowry kind of thing.
Absolutely.
So they got that balance. So it'll be a tough game, but I think being at home, the Jets should be able to take this one.
Yeah, the Jets winning this one with Seattle losing 3 of their last 4.
Yeah,
I'll take the Jets. Then the Jets travel to Columbus on Thursday. Seattle is tomorrow. In Winnipeg. Then they go to Columbus on Thursday. Columbus, last place club, first place in the chase for the lottery pick for Bedard. They stink. Also on a bit of a losing streak all season long.
They stunk when they came back into Winnipeg there a few months ago, and they throttled the Jets in that game. Probably one of the Jets' worst games of the year. So.
Yeah, no doubt, eh? Maybe this little break and stuff woke him up a bit.
Line is going to look for a little bit more revenge. Only 14 goals for him this year. I know he's only played 38 games, but only 14 goals. What's happened to him?
It's not going well. He has no one. He's no one there.
He's got Goudreau. Well. You think that would have upped his goals a little bit? Goudreau's still at 50 points. Like he's having a decent season on that terrible team still, but
horrible. He must be regretting that. But they were able to scrape up a win against Toronto in a back-to-back. It's a back-to-back though, so and the tail end of it too.
He won't be regretting it if they get Bedard next season, anyways.
Exactly.
Or Bedard.
They're going to be bad for a while. And then they finish off the week with the Devils on Sunday. I'm going to take them to win this one. The Devils are good, top 5 team in the league without a doubt. The only reason why I'm going to take the Jets is because the Jets will be a bit rested. They play Thursday and then they don't play till Sunday. The Devils are coming off 3 games out of 4 days, and it's a back-to-back after they play Pittsburgh. So I'm going to take the Jets just based on fatigue. Is Jack Hughes playing?
He played the game before the break. I tried to look and see if he was back from any injuries or anything like that. So
okay, so
it definitely helps the Jets. Yeah, I mean, if Jack Hughes is not playing, that definitely helps the Jets for sure.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Jets. I'm going to take the Jets in that one. I'm taking win all 3.
I know New Jersey was looking good. Their record's good, but I haven't really looked into their stats wise until today, and it's just like, wow, they're pretty solid. And it's like, how did they get here from being terrible, like even almost last year, like they were that? But Vitek Vanacek, is that how you say Vanacek? Their goalie, he's played well, amazing numbers. Jack Hughes, like you say, and they don't give up a lot of goals, right? Because their goaltending has been pretty good. I'm going to probably pick New Jersey in this one, just being at home. If Jack Hughes is not playing, maybe a different story. The Jets have a chance, but New Jersey at home, and Jets on the east side or east coast or in the East Division has not gone well so far this year.
You gonna take New Jersey?
No, I'm gonna take New Jersey in this one.
All right, I got Jets
2-1. 2-1 in these
3-0 this week. Ooh. I've got them going undefeated in a couple of weeks, and it's never really worked out. So
yeah,
Jets fans, put your little predictions. How do you feel they'll do? What do you see happening? Still trade rumors bubbling. And we'll talk about that probably next week. Last little topic in the NHL, coming off a thing I read on Canucks Army. Should the NHL get rid of their hard cap? What are your thoughts on that?
I'm going to lean mainly towards no, because I don't want what happened before with the rich teams just buying, or not buying guys, but paying guys, signing everyone in free agency or whatever. But I will add, I kind of like the NBA luxury tax, and that to a certain extent, like not maybe allowing a little bit of overage and taxing teams for that, but not allowing as much as the NBA does, because I think it would just get ridiculous. Teams like Toronto, Rangers, Flyers, all those rich teams will just end up paying that tax just to be able to sign a bunch of guys, right?
Yeah.
I in the article, to me, their idea or their hope for it was to open up the trade deadline a little bit more. I didn't like that. I mean,
I would say do not do that. Do not trade just for the entertainment of the trade deadline. No, because it will collapse the whole league in regards to the bottom 10 teams and the small market teams, because they won't be able to compete on a yearly basis. Like the NBA, you have 5-6 teams that will be contenders.
Yeah.
And you have people wishing to be in the playoffs and they get smoked in the first round, and it's ridiculous. And you have players colluding to get on the same team. No, you don't want that nonsense.
Well, even the trades in the NBA are ridiculous, man. As you're trading 4 first-round picks for a guy, it's like they obviously don't value these first-round picks that much if they're trading that many of them.
Not to win right now.
Because eventually you can end up doing this same thing. You can suck for a few years, get a little bit better, trade a bunch of another, 4 first-round picks that are coming up and do it all over again.
Absolutely.
And just look at baseball. I mean, baseball doesn't even have that. Does baseball have some kind of cap or no? Or do they have a luxury one?
No, they don't care.
But it's the same teams that are basically making the playoffs. The NFL's got it good. I mean, you got teams like, but they got the TV deal, right? So these guys are making good money. You got teams like Green Bay that can compete in that small market because they know they're going to get money and they can pay their guys.
Yeah.
Here in the NHL, it would just destroy it. But if you went over $5 million max and, taxed them hardcore on that, and then the money trailed down, but I don't know. It also leads to teams not trying anymore, right? They're just going to want to collect that tax, and owners are going to get rich off of that kind of thing. So
I like the shiftiness of being an NHL GM and trying to figure out your cap and keeping players that you almost had to trade for value, or getting, them to hold value of their contract so you can make that trade happen. I like the strategy of it. I'd rather that thinking and the action on that. I enjoy NHL trade deadline day way more than I watch anything about NBA trade deadline day. I just wait for something to happen in NBA trade deadline day, and then I don't watch the NBA until the finals.
Yeah. I always love NHL trade deadline day. There's so much articles, so much, hey, this is going to happen, this is going to happen. And it's like, not much.
It doesn't happen. Exactly. It's like being a Jet fan.
Ooh, got to make some trades.
Oh my goodness. Like I said, we'll talk about that.
Got a month still, I guess. Just under a month.
Can't wait. You got a Brickhead?
Yeah. I'm going to give this, I don't think I've done them before, or wish I never had to do them, but I'm going to give it to Canada Soccer, and the way that they have handled these women's soccer team situation right before the She Believes Cup here, which I guess the women have now gotten forced to go to because of a pending lawsuit, or a threat of a lawsuit or whatever. So they're going, but Canada Soccer, man, get it together. These women, they're getting popular. I mean, they're the better team. They've won an Olympic gold. They've made it far, and they've built up women's soccer quite a bit. Give them their fair share and go from there. So Canada Soccer, you're my Brickhead of the week.
What 6th rank soccer team, soccer nation, doesn't get a home game before the World Cup?
That's terrible.
What 6th ranked nation in World Cup soccer has their staff and the amount of players cut down before training camp? What is that?
Yeah, exactly. What is that?
Stupid. And they've been so good for so long. They're the ones propping up that whole they're the program to be proud of for the longest time. And now they're being cut back in a World Cup year. It's stupid.
To add on to that, we've been waiting for a long time for soccer, which is probably it's the most played sport in this country, to actually gain some traction and have good teams, right? The women's team was there first, being a good team, and they've competed in tournaments and all that stuff for a while now. Now that finally the men have gotten there too. it's time to invest in this. And if the people that were running it were terrible, then it's time to get rid of them and bring some new ideas in.
But mismanagement of money.
Oh, you can't mess this up. It's where it needs to be right now. Do not mess it up.
Yep, the leadership has to change.
Yeah.
Leadership has to change. I'm going to give the shout out again in regards to Black History Month and Canadian Black sports history. I'm going to give it to Johnny Armstrong, Army Howard. Actually, possibly, although the early goings of his life aren't particularly known specifically. He could have been born in Minnesota, maybe not have been born in Winnipeg, but he resided in Winnipeg. He was a Canadian track star, went to the 1912 Olympics, fought for Canada in World War I, came back to live in St. Rose du Lac, which is north of Winnipeg, Manitoba, but was forced to leave due to some hostility towards his interracial marriage. And he was actually grandfather to Harry Jerome and Valerie Jerome, who also went to the Olympics. Valerie Jerome, shout out, born in St. Boniface, Winnipeg. So there you go.
Right
There's
on.
your shout out for me. Benny, you have anything to say to our friends?
You know what? Just thanks a lot for listening. Don't forget, subscribe, follow, check us out, leave us a comment, check us out on Reddit, join some of our posts, and let us know what you think.
Reddit. Subscribe. And to the famous words, and to steal the famous words of LeVar Burton, we'll see you next time. Cut. Do you have a most memorable commercial from the Super Bowl?
No, I haven't watched any of them, actually.
Did you see that trailer for the movie Cocaine Bear?
No, I saw the post about it. I meant to look it up, and I was like, what the heck is this thing?
Gosh, it was cool that the Canadians had half the American thing, but yeah, Cocaine Bear, that's a movie.
That's a movie? So what's the actual movie? Like, does it involve cocaine and a bear?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So someone made a movie about that and advertised it during the Super Bowl.
I'll have to check that out.
I better Google it.
Hey, friends and neighbors, don't forget to check us out online on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at Ray Benny Sports. And don't forget to check out our YouTube channel. Leave a like, leave a comment, tell us what you think.